Hey, how's it going and welcome to another video. So you're probably immediately wondering, Heroes of the Storm? Yes, Heroes of the Storm. This is a game that I don't think I've ever really talked about on the channel at all, but it's a game that I surprisingly have a bit of a history with, and this is going to come as a shock to many people, but this is the only MOBA I've ever played and had any amount of fun with. Yes, Heroes of the Storm, one of the most goof-ass MOBAs probably ever made. But I was actually inspired to make this because I saw a video from NerdSlayer. It was his Death of a Game Heroes of the Storm video. You should definitely check out NerdSlayer if you like learning about kind of like video game history of why certain games failed. He has videos on like Lawbreakers, Battleborn, Heroes of the Storm. I really like his Death of a Game series, but I hadn't thought about Heroes of the Storm really at all for quite a while until that video popped up. And it reawakened a lot of memories within me of my time playing this game. So for a bit of background information, I do not like MOBAs at all. Some of my earliest memories of just like MOBAs as a thing involved this guy I used to be friends with, who would play League of Legends all day. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Literally, from the moment he got home from school, up until when it was time for him to go to sleep, it was League. When we were in Skype calls, it was League. The reasons why he couldn't play games with us or whatever, it was League. This must have been around, 2011-ish? Maybe early 2012. This was when, like, MOBAs were starting to gain traction. But eventually he roped me into playing a few games, and I was like, man, I hate this. I was just like, what's the fun in playing this game for however long the match would go, like 30 up to 40, sometimes it would take a fucking hour. This death crawl of a game where you argue with people and when you win, it's like, it's more of a sigh of relief than enjoyment, and when you lose, it's extremely frustrating. And I had kind of the same experience with Dota. I played a few games of that and was like, kind of reached the same conclusion of, yeah, I don't like this. And then in 2015, a friend of mine asked me, I don't even fully remember how this, like, conversation went, but this friend of mine was like, you should try Heroes of the Storm. It's a Blizzard MOBA that just came out. I think it had just came out of beta, like it had officially released in like that week. And so for shits and giggles, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll play this MOBA and totally love it. And to my utter amazement, I actually had fun with this one. And I think part of the reason for that really is just because it is so different and I guess so streamlined in comparison to other MOBAs. Ironically, by taking a lot of the depth and kind of just the complication of it, that's what helped me enjoy it way more. You didn't have to worry about equipment or any of the other, like, I'm not a fucking MOBA expert, I don't know much about this shit, but you didn't have to worry about a lot of the little micromanagey sort of things that could get you, like, in trouble if you were playing League or whatever. Like, what it really comes down to why I can't have fun with MOBAs, it's because of people. And even though there were obviously assholes in Heroes of the Storm, I feel like generally there wasn't as much to get mad about. At least from my own weird-ass perspective, but I actually really liked the way that you would kind of progress in the game. Your character would kind of be more of, like, an RPG character, where when you leveled up, I think it's every 4 levels, you get to pick a new talent. So you turn level 4, you get to pick, oh, which do you want? You can make this ability have a longer range, this one will do slowdown, different stuff like that. And it was fun. It was like every time you were getting to build the character kind of the way you wanted. So maybe one game you could be like, okay, this match, I'm gonna play the character like, this one ability I have is just gonna be godly. Like, you're not gonna want to be within 100 feet of me using this one ability, because it'll ruin your life. Or you could be like, okay, I'm gonna be, like, really good at destroying buildings. That's gonna be my thing, is I'm the siege master. So it was fun. It allowed for a lot of kind of on-the-fly decision-making. And I think another thing that helped hook me was just the characters, because in League of Legends and Dota, every character is, like, original. And that made it a little bit harder for me to kind of get enjoyment out of the character I was playing. But no, with Heroes of the Storm, it's all based on characters from different Blizzard shit. And I mostly gravitate towards the StarCraft characters because that's really the only Blizzard thing I've played at all. Never played Diablo, even though I probably should, but StarCraft 1 especially is my jam. So I tended to like a lot of the StarCraft characters, including my favorite character in this game, who I will talk about in a bit. And one of the things that made, like, Heroes of the Storm so kind of contentious, I guess, with the more hardcore MOBA crowd, is the fact that everybody shares experience. It's kind of like experience communism, where, let's say you kill an enemy. It goes into a kind of a collective pool, like everybody is at the same level. You all level up as a team. And I kind of like that because it felt like everybody was kind of more in this together. And it made it so that it was less likely you would run into these situations where it's like, why are you so underleveled? Why are you holding us back? So it was just one less thing to worry about. But the one thing that kept me playing was my main, and he stands out as being one of my favorite just design, like gameplay designs for a character from anything ever, and that is Abathur. So Abathur was already my favorite StarCraft character. I thoroughly loved him in StarCraft 2, Heart of the Swarm. And through some miracle, he ended up also being my favorite character in Heroes of the Storm. It's a little bit confusing because both of those things are abbreviated to HOTS. You know, Heroes of the Storm, Heart of the Swarm. It takes me a second to remember which one is which sometimes, but this is a descriptor that's gonna, like, be really confusing, but he is a character, a MOBA character who never really leaves the base. Or I guess I should say he never really goes beyond the turrets. Unless you're being a sneaky shit. But generally the idea is you hang out behind the turrets. And now you're wondering, okay, how do you play then? Well, Abathur basically has two secondary functions. The first thing he does is he passively spawns loaches, I think is what they're called. But they're basically just like little tanky minions. And the second thing he can do is he can plant landmines. So you'll just look around the map, plant a little landmine, and eventually somebody will step on it, and it'll go kaboom, like a landmine does. But the other thing he does is his main ability is called the Symbiote, which allows him to place a little, everybody used to call it the hat, but he puts a little hat, which is like it kind of looks like a Metroid, on somebody's head, and then you sort of become one with the other character, and then you have access to a different array of moves. You have, like, your Q ability is this arrow, this needle that goes straight ahead. You have this AoE, and then you have a shield. And although it might not sound like too much on paper, dog, when I was in it, that was some of the most fun shit ever. Playing Abathur makes you feel like some kind of fucking mastermind. You're constantly watching the map, looking for encounters, like trying to figure out the right person to symbiote, when's a good time to dip out and plant some landmines, when to relocate. It's surprisingly a very frantic playstyle, despite the fact that you're just supervising. But man, when everything worked out, that felt so good. It felt like I was fucking Lelouch from Code Geass, like everything has gone according to the plan. But yeah, to get footage for this, I went and reinstalled Heroes of the Storm, and just did a game against bots, because I didn't feel like dealing with humanity. And man, was it fun. Like, I felt immediately back into the groove of playing Abathur. I was tempted to keep going and, like, play a game with actual people, but then I thought, maybe I shouldn't go down this rabbit hole. But that kind of brings up the question of, why did I stop to begin with? And it really wasn't I don't remember there being the moment where I quit. There wasn't, like, some atrociously horrible game that made me swear it off forever. But it was more of a gradual loss of interest in it. Eventually, over time, I kind of unlocked pretty much every hero that I wanted to use, which is like most of the StarCraft ones. And I also pretty much abandoned it, ironically, to play a different Blizzard game, which I also ended up abandoning, and that, of course, being Overwatch. But I remember the second to last time that I ever played Heroes of the Storm was, ironically, to get an Overwatch skin. I think it was for, like, Cop Diva. If you played a certain number of games of Heroes of the Storm, you'd unlock Cop Diva. And that was in, maybe 2017? No, it must have been 2018. No, it was 2017. Yeah, so 3 years since I had last played it. But no, I overall enjoyed my time with it. Like, there were obviously a lot of really bad games, a lot of sour moods caused by it. But I don't really look back and think, man, I wish I had all that time back. I could talk all day about how much I fucking love Abathur. Abathur really truly does stand out as one of my favorite just designs for a character, And one of the most strange, like, design decisions for a character within his own genre. Like, off the top of my head, I really can't think of anything else that weird. You know, a MOBA character where the entire goal is to leave the base as like, seldom as possible. I don't know, I guess that's our question for the day in the comments. Let me know if you can think of any other really fucking bizarre characters within their own genre. Be that, I don't know, a fighting game, or an RPG, or a MOBA, or an action game, just whatever comes to mind. But no, I had a good time with Heroes of the Storm. A weird part of my soul, looking back, after playing that random game against the bots, kind of makes me feel like, man, I kind of wish I had stuck with it. Maybe I could have been the greatest Abathur player in the world, with my competition being maybe 4 or 5 other people. But no, it was fun. I'll always love my little slug boy. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.